You're listening to Inklings of Insight.
Hi, I've got a new book summary for you. The book we're going to be talking about is Limitless. It's about upgrading your brain, learning anything faster, and unlocking your exceptional life. It's by Jim Quick. So the book starts off by basically saying that technology is making us dumber. I can't say I disagree with the premise. I think people's attention spans are extremely short. Technology has a lot of great benefits, but in a lot of ways, we're being overloaded with information, which sounds like a great opportunity, but at the same time, people don't really dig deep in a lot of these opportunities. A lot of times, they're just going with the flow, going with the crowd of individuals that the algorithm has grouped them with, and there's not a lot of critical thinking that's often taking place on some of these social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Um, so one of the practical tips that the book points out is basically spending 30 minutes each day with your device turned off. The book summary doesn't really say when that time should take place during the day, but personally, I tend to look at my phone before I go to sleep, and when I wake up in the morning, I think that I might just take 30 minutes in either of those spots and just kind of disconnect. And I know a lot of you are probably listening to this like 30 minutes is nothing. Yeah, can you even really consider that disconnecting? Well, I think you should start somewhere, and 30 minutes for some people who, quite frankly, might be addicted to their devices is probably going to sound like, a lifetime. But at any rate, we've also talked about some of the negative effects associated with technology when it comes to social relationships. A lot of people are experiencing anxiety and feeling socially disconnected from people because of technology. So a lot of great benefits, but one of the things that this book summary is highlighting is the negative effects on our critical thinking abilities, our mental capacity, and our intelligence quotient, quite frankly. Another really great thing that I really liked about this book summary was the fact that it highlighted motivation. And one of the key drivers with motivation, in the past, we've talked about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, but I love that this book highlights the fact that sometimes an activity is not even enjoyable, but you can still find motivation in it because you associate it with your purpose. So the example that this book talks about is a 70-year-old man who wakes up early and goes to the gym, which I found it fascinating that he talks about. This is a little bit of a digression, but he talks about the 5 a.m. workout. And I just finished the book summary for the 5 a.m. club, so I just thought that was kind of funny. But at any rate, he talks about how he doesn't enjoy waking up and weightlifting, but he wants to be there to keep up with his grandchildren, and that is the purpose that he associates with this particular activity. And because of that, he's extremely motivated. I can totally relate to that. Whether it's learning, which can sometimes be excruciating, dealing with the confusion associated with trying to learn something new. It can be a real challenge, and you might not necessarily be having fun doing it, but you find purpose in what you're going to be able to do with the information that you're trying to master. And you could quite possibly feel like that empowerment or that ability that you'll have coming out of the other side is deeply ingrained with your purpose and who you want to be. Same thing with weightlifting. I can identify with wanting to have a fit body, seeing yourself as somebody who's active, seeing yourself as somebody who's strong, and also wanting to be able to be around and healthy and in a sound state of mind for your loved ones, similar to this individual. So I thought that was a really cool thing that this book summary highlighted. The main gist of this book is to emphasize that you have unlimited potential in terms of your mindset, your motivation, and it actually also provides very practical advice on how you can tap into your limitless potential. So finally, I wanted to highlight some key studies that kind of spoke to being a lifelong learner, which lifelong learner, I mean, we don't live forever, but I feel like the idea of being a lifelong learner complements this idea of your limitlessness, right? There's no end to how much you want to learn during the time that you're here. You won't necessarily be here forever, but you can try and learn as much as you can during that time period. And there's studies that have shown that one, you're 20% less likely to have poor health. There's a study by Feinstein that talked about how this group of 7,000 adults in the United Kingdom participated in this study. They considered themselves lifelong learners, and they were 20% less likely to report poor health. Another study shows that people were 33% less likely to die from all causes over a 10-year period if they were considered a lifelong learner. I don't know how they're defining a lifelong learner in these particular studies, but still, anecdotally and in terms of just having a quantitative data point to point to, I thought that these are really interesting findings. And this is my favorite one of all of the insights, is that in this study done in Finland, they found that lifelong learners were 40% less likely, or they had a 40% lower risk of developing dementia. I've talked about Alzheimer's and how that's such a horrible disease. And a lot of people will say that if you're going to lose something, the worst thing for you to lose would be your memories and your ability to connect with those that you love. In a lot of ways, that's who you are, right? And if there's not a better, I can't think of a better way for you to be motivated than to decrease your chances of literally losing yourself, right? And your identity. So, huge motivator. I think in large part, a lot of people might think that it's you're kind of hardwired to be a lifelonger. I'm sorry, a learner or not. Um, but just based off of the essence of this book, I could easily see the author saying, even if you haven't typically been someone who's had an appetite for learning, I feel like he would say that, this is something that anybody can develop, that you have the potential, because otherwise it would be very limiting to say that somebody is just not wired to be a lifelong learner. So I just say that to say, be encouraged. Like, even if you're somebody that you haven't considered yourself to be someone who's been a great student or has really had the aptitude or desire to really learn or stretch yourself when it comes to learning, I'd like to encourage you, you know, maybe this is a good time to reinvigorate yourself and really get after learning something that you've always wanted to learn, something that you've maybe been procrastinating about, pushing off. Maybe now's the time for you to say, hey, I want to be a lifelong learner, and these are some reasons why that could be a fantastic decision for you to make. Some other benefits to being a lifelong learner that were identified in the brief time that I spent researching this topic is reducing stress and anxiety, improving cognitive function, and helping you build social connections. We've talked about social connections and how a lot of people in this day and age feel disconnected for a variety of reasons. Hey, looking for opportunities to learn new things oftentimes opens the door to new networks and new connections, new friendships, new mentorships. So, with all that being said, I hope that this is useful information for you. I hope it inspires maybe an inkling of inspiration in you to maybe make some changes here or there, or tweaks to improve your progress towards living a balanced and fulfilled life. So, best success, and I'll see you next time.